Good morning. They say it's a small world, and real quick, I've never met Teresa before, but met her earlier today, and we've been doing what I'm about to present to you for the last 4 years with her business, so it's kind of a small world thing. My last name is Mendelson. Obviously, I'm not Irish, but I've been green for a long time. Our business has its roots back in 1917. I think you need to know a little bit about our business in order to understand why I was asked to speak to you today. We were green way before green was cool. Back in the turn of the last century, we built the first paper mill that took old newspapers and made new newsprint out of it. It was in Chicago. We made the newsprint for the Chicago Daily News. And we made the technology was developed not because it was environmentally friendly, though that helped, but because it was less expensive to make newsprint out of old newspapers than it was to make newsprint out of wood chips. Over the years, our business grew. We got involved with many more materials. And then, fortunately, people started to notice. In 1995, the Environmental Protection Agency published a book with 24 case studies of successful recycling enterprises. We were one of the 24. 17 years later, less than 12 of these businesses exist. My point is this. We've been around a long time. We've seen a lot of green companies and green ideas come and go. We've learned a lot of lessons, some the hard way. Perhaps some of the lessons we've learned would be helpful for you guys as well. Let's start with two basic business goals. Lower cost, raise revenue. My guess is every CEO, plant manager, or person involved with profit and loss would say those are two good business goals. We take it one step further. Lower cost, raise revenue without investing capital. That's a good goal as well. What we want you to do is think about your byproducts as assets, not liabilities. We want you to think about your byproducts through an economic lens and think about how that material can be turned into an asset. The recycling world is like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and it's your job to figure out how to put these pieces of the puzzle together. But there's a trick. Sometimes the pieces come from different boxes, and it's your job to think about how you can take your piece, your byproduct, and put it together and fill the hole of another industry's puzzle. You'd be amazed at how this simple process can not only improve your environmental footprint, but also improve your bottom line. Now, if you don't think you've got the capability in-house to do this type of work, there are people out there who could certainly help. Trust me on that one. So let me give you a few quick examples. Gummy bears. It's a cute little guy, isn't he? A supplier of ours manufactures generic gummy bears, not brand name gummy bears, but generic gummy bears. A scrap candy is normally used in animal feed. It's got high caloric value, it's dense, it can be shipped. A customer of ours manufactures bear traps. Bears come wandering out of the woods, they've got to be caught, brought back to the woods and released. The ingredients that our customer was using no longer had that certain bear appeal. Well, with a slight modification, the way the gummy bear material is handled, it works beautifully as bear bait. So for our supplier, we've got a better market for their byproduct, their raw material, and they get a better return. For our customer, they've got a better raw material at a lower cost and solved a quality control problem. So you've got two separate industries coming together, becoming green, and making a little green as well. Another one, caskets. Now this is a product I hope none of us have to use anytime soon. But when we do, perhaps we'll be using a recycled product. A supplier of ours manufactures an industrial fiber. It's made out of multiple plastics. It can't be recycled in a traditional sense. The byproduct is going to the landfill, costing money. A customer of ours manufactures caskets, and they had a quality control problem. The stuffing they were using in the pillows was dusty. The dust would work its way up through the fabric. In an open casket funeral, the poor deceased looks like he's got dandruff. It was a true quality control problem. Well, the slight modification in the way the industrial fiber was handled, it works beautifully in casket stuffing. So for our supplier, we've taken a cost center, turned it into a profit center. They're now generating revenue. For our customer, they've got a better raw material at a lower cost, and oh, by the way, solved a very large quality control problem for them. Arena footing. Perhaps some of you guys have been to a horse arena. Have you ever looked at what they're running around on? A supplier of ours in the paper industry contacted us. They'd started a new process, and they had a new byproduct. It was a virgin fiber, it was clay, and it was a water retention agent. It's going to the landfill. Their projection was about a $600,000 a year cost due to this byproduct. Now, a customer of ours manufactures arena footing with a slight modification of the way this particular byproduct is handled. It works beautifully as an ingredient in arena footing. So for our supplier, we've taken a $600,000 cost and dropped it to a $200,000 cost. No extra expenditures, et cetera. For our customer, they've got a new raw material that gives their finished product a strategic advantage that they can show to their marketplace. Two unrelated industries brought together. Lidding stock. Now, the American diet has become more and more mobile, and a shelf-stable meal has become part of our diet, college students, et cetera. Now, the technology to have a complete meal in a single package on the shelf without refrigeration is pretty sophisticated. That lid, that peel-away lid that is on there, can have up to 5 layers to it. In the manufacture of that lid, you start with rolls. They punch out the lid. You've got the trim left over. That trim, because of its sophistication in raw materials, is going to the landfill. We were contacted, went to work on this material, went to work with a customer of ours in the energy industry. Not waste to energy, but actual product. And we started to work with this raw material and develop a product where the unique attributes to this trim works beautifully for our customer's new product. Our supplier took a cost center, turned it into a profit center. Our customer now has a new raw material for a new finished product to present to their marketplace. Two entirely unrelated industries brought together. My point is, we've got to become more creative. Perhaps we can say it this way. Many of us adults are throwing away potentially valuable resources simply because we have not looked at these assets in a more creative way. Perhaps we can leave our kids a greener world by putting pieces of the puzzle one piece at a time. But I got one last point. My daughter wanted to participate in this, and she wanted me to help tell you how important this concept is to us. So that's her with our dog, and our dog's name, Jigsaw. Thanks very much.